My aunt tried to sell me to men for monetary gains, however, I was saved by our neighbor who also had a daughter. This is what happened when I was living with my aunt as a teenager. I was abandoned by my mom, with no father in the picture. I had nowhere to go, so I was stuck with this woman. She treated me badly. She would even cook and leave dinner for her boyfriend, and when I asked her for my dinner, she would say I did not provide any. She told me we both had the same thing and I should use mine to get what I want. I knew exactly what she was talking about, I just never imagined her telling me that point blank. She was not joking, she was dead serious. I was fully aware of what was going on around me, so I decided to get a job at a factory. But that didn't work out, so I started cooking and selling soup at my gate. Everything was going well for me. I started making money to support myself and even started giving my aunt money to help out around the house. She was okay for a while, but then she started to demand more money when I refused, and all hell broke loose. She decided that I should start paying rent. I agreed. The next time she said I should start paying a portion of the light bill, so I did. Now I was fully taking care of myself, paying bills and finding food for both of us. I never complained. When my aunt saw that I was making money by selling soup, she decided that she was going to cook and sell as well. I thought it was a good idea, since I was only cooking soup. Little did I know that she wanted to take over the entire thing. At this point, my soup business had gotten big and I even had a tent. I was doing very well, so I thought it was okay for her to do her cooking there also. That was the biggest mistake I made. She started cooking, and she was a very good cook. At first, she started by cooking a small pot of curry chicken and a small pot of white rice. She did that for a week and was getting sales, so she decided to up her game by adding brown stew chicken and rice and peas to her menu. Believe me, we were both doing well until she decided to also sell soup. Now tell me, why would she want to sell soup when I was already doing that? When she was already doing well with her food. She said she didn't see any problem because she would cook a different type of soup. Mind you, I was already cooking different soup every day, and I had my regular customers, so I just continued. She started to also cook soup, despite me asking her not to, so I just left it at that. My soup was still selling well, and so was her food, but her soup was not, because most people still bought mine. This went on for a while, and it vexed her. She started coming up with all kinds of reasons why I should not be selling on the roadside. She told me that I should stop selling and she would take care of the bills and the house. I said that it was okay, I didn't mind selling food, I wanted things to continue as they were. She was very against it and we went back and forth about it. She eventually stopped cooking soup. At that point, everyone had found her out. People began to ask her why she was also selling soup when I was already selling it. You'd think she would stop there, but this woman told me that I couldn't live with her anymore unless I stopped selling completely and let her run the business alone. She also wanted me to help her out so people wouldn't know that she took over the business. Remember, I had nowhere to go, so I had to agree. She took over everything. When people started to notice my absence and asked her for me, she would tell them that I was studying or find some other excuse. Eventually, her lies started catching up with her, so she forced me to return by threatening to put me out again. I had to go back to the shop, but this time it felt like a part of God's plan. I didn't regret going that day, because it was the day my life changed. I went to the shop on that blessed day, and my aunt decided to send me to deliver food to a business place. When I got to the place, I was surprised to see that the owner was one of my regular customers. This person was someone who bought soup from me every day. His name was Anthony. I had no clue he was the owner of that business place. I delivered the food, collected the money, and when I was about to leave, he told me that he had asked my aunt to send me to deliver the food because he wanted to talk to me. I stopped to hear him out because he was a really nice person. He always gave me tips whenever he bought soup. He then asked me why I stopped selling. I was hesitant to tell him at first, but eventually I did. He then said he had suspected that was the reason, and it was why he stopped going there. We talked for a while, and he asked me if I wanted to work for him. I accepted his offer immediately, and he told me I could start the following week. I went back and told my aunt that I got a job at the place where I went to deliver the food, and she thought I was joking. When I told her I would be starting the following week, she became serious. She said I couldn't work there because she needed me to help her. I told her I was going so she would have to find someone else to help her. She then started to state obvious things like how I had no clothes to wear to work. However, I had already decided to wear clothes I had, which wasn't much, but I told myself I would buy a few pieces of clothing with the little money I had saved, to add to the clothing I already had. I wasn't worried about clothes, I just wanted to go to work. When my aunt realized that I had made up my mind, she got vexed and started threatening to put me out again. This time it didn't work. I took a stand and told her to do what she had to, that I would look for a place to rent. I reminded her that I was also paying rent and light. That I wasn't living there for free anymore. Besides, she was the one who took away my business and stated that she would cover everything. That got her to shut up. All that happened on a Wednesday, a day went by and she said nothing to me. The Friday of that week, she asked me to help out. While I was there, Anthony came by and I introduced him to my aunt. She didn't respond. He asked me if I was busy. When I told him I wasn't at the moment, he asked me to follow him somewhere. I told my aunt and then I went. He brought me to a store and told me to pick some working clothes. I was shocked and I told him that I didn't have any money. He told me not to worry, that he would buy them and I could pay him back little by little. I accepted his offer. I took a black skirt and a black pants, because those could be repeated. I also took 2 blouses, one white and the other pink. He asked if that was all I was taking, and I answered yes. I went back to help my aunt. When she saw the bag, I told her the whole story. She didn't believe me. She even started saying that the business was not his, it belonged to his parents, and accused him of stealing the money to buy me clothes. She also accused me of sleeping with him. She kept ranting and making accusations even when we returned home. I went to help her the following day because it was very busy. She sent me to the supermarket. While at the supermarket, I saw Anthony. I asked him what he was doing at the supermarket, if he wasn't supposed to be busy running his business. He said that his mother was there, so he came out. I started to remember what my aunt said, but I said nothing. He helped me with the groceries. We got home late in the night, and the next morning, my aunt asked me if Anthony went to the supermarket with me. I told her yes. I prepared for work Monday. I was anxious until it was finally time. It was a mini mart. I got there before it was open and waited until I saw Anthony and an elderly lady. I was nervous. How she greeted me increased my nervousness. She asked if I was the one that got her son all worked. I was so frightened I just responded with good morning. She told him I had good manners, then she greeted me warmly. She commented on my age, and before I could answer, Anthony confirmed that I was still underage. They then proceeded to have a discussion between themselves. He then told me that I would be working with her that day because he had some other stuff to do. I worked with her for the entire day while answering her questions. I guessed she was pleased with my work because she didn't return the following day. The following day, Anthony asked me what I thought of his mother. I told him she was nice to me. He then said she loved you. He didn't ask many questions because his mom already did, so we had fun working together. I was enjoying my job and his company. I was now there for 2 weeks and his mom hadn't returned during that time. I asked him why and he said she had no reason, but if I wanted to see her he could tell her. I said no, I was only asking because I thought she ran the place. He told me she only comes by when he asks her to or when he has other things to take care of. He hired me to run the business for the situations where he had to take care of those other things. He told me that he would be there until I got the hang of things, and his mom would come by on busy days or when he was not available. We got close. He would drop me home every day after work. Every weekend he would give me bags of essential groceries, all while I also got my full pay, Anthony would eventually become the father of my child and we lived together. This was in part thanks to my aunt who started demanding more money for rent and utilities. But that was not the only reason I moved out. The main catalyst happened later. Anthony and I went to a club one Saturday night, and when I got home my aunt wasn't there. I never had a key on me, so he waited with me until she returned home. The next morning, there was a loud call at the door. Someone was calling for her. When she answered the door, it was a man. The man came to collect the debt she owed him. That debt was me. The man started making a fuss. That was when I heard the conversation. He was shouting. She then came inside and told me to go with the man because she promised him that I would go with him in the morning. Can you imagine? I lost it and started cursing her because I was not going anywhere, and that was when our neighbor got involved and told her that she went overboard and she would not stand by and watch. My neighbor took me to her house. Eventually, the man went away, but after collecting back his money from my aunt. That was how I ended up moving in with Anthony. He had asked me several times before and I turned him down, but that last incident with my aunt drove me to agree. Everything had worked out for the best, but it could have been the other way around. Not every one of us ends up lucky.